After getting hands-on with its first 2 chapters, Romeo is a Dead Man is already fulfilling the promise of what a new Suda51 game should be, serving as a psychedelic hack-and-slash odyssey packed with plenty of creativity. When I think of Suda51 games, 2 things come to mind: blood, specifically a lot of it, and quirky characters. Fortunately for us sickos who like this stuff, Romeo is a Dead Man has plenty of both. A fact evidenced by the upcoming third-person hack-and-slasher's initial opening hours, which I was lucky enough to receive access to over the recent holiday period. For all the various Suda51 isms longtime fans are bound to recognise in the auteur's latest, however, there's plenty about Romeo is a Dead Man that feels different, new, and dare I say a tad scrappier. All this developer Grasshopper manufacture is managing to do while seemingly not overextending itself into an impossible to accomplish scope. For example, it might be a galaxy-hopping psychedelic odyssey, but it forgoes an open world in favour of featuring tightly controlled action spectacle. Have some AAA corners been cut along the way? Sure, but they've been done so extremely creatively. So far, from what I played, Romeo is a Dead Man feels like Suda51 refusing to merely play the hits. Instead, his latest is aiming to take those familiar hallmarks and amp them up to 11.
A person's face is what makes them who they are, not their soul.
My preview kicked off right at the very start of the game, with the titular Romeo out on an average police patrol before being unwittingly savaged by a creature that causes him to enter a half-dead state. Before you know it, he's ripped back to life by an injection that means he can only stay alive by keeping a weird-looking contraption on his head. His mission from here on out is a simple one: find his missing girlfriend Juliet by traversing the galaxy as a member of the FBI's space-time police. As far as prologues go, it's about as barmy and bonkers as you'd expect from a Suda51 game, laying the foundation in a quick and timely manner while setting up the stakes for the story and Romeo Stargazer's rather, shall we say, unique set of circumstances. From here, Romeo is a Dead Man threw me into the basics of combat, mainly centered on swordplay comprised of light and heavy attacks, but is also shaken up with a splash of gunplay. Despite this, a third-person shooter this is not, admittedly, yet having Romeo pull out a pistol or fast-firing machine gun does well to bring a certain flexibility and variety to fights against hordes of undead rotters that might otherwise be at risk of growing stale. Fortunately, over the course of the 2 chapters I played, plenty of tougher enemies were gradually introduced, most of which sport a blue flower target somewhere on their person that serves as a weak point. Blasting this off made the likes of tomato heads and flabs, their real names by the way, much easier to deal with. A far more interesting method of attack though is the ability to deploy what are known as bastards, which take on the form of different rotter types you can grow back on your ship, more on that later, and work further wonders to help you open up some space between you and foes during combat. Some bastards might shoot out poison, while others operate more as a turret. Either way, they seem like an ingenious way to make the rotters work for you. One thing I came to appreciate about Romeo is a Dead Man the further into my preview build I pushed is just how sensible a scope it carves out. Similar to how Suda51 reverted to a more contained structure in No More Heroes 2 following the first game's otherwise barren open world, levels here feel open enough that you're able to go about your bashing and slashing business totally freely without the daunting task of endless collectible hunts ever looming. True, sometimes traversing maps means entering a level's alternate dimension called subspace, in which you must collect keys to unlock that stage's final boss gate. However, in both levels I played, I was never here too long, and these sections only allow Romeo is a Dead Man to venture even deeper into the blend of campy sci-fi and firm B-movie territory it's going for. Speaking of which, just as important as what you do while hunting down your beloved Juliet during each mission is what you do between them. It's here while exploring your last night ship that also doubles up as your hub base, where the game reverts to a top-down 8-bit art style and plays out along a similar lines. Although not every room of the ship was free to explore during my demo, already it's easy to see how important tasks such as upgrading weapons or unlocking new ones and growing the aforementioned bastards have been transformed into off-kilter minigames, the kind of which only reaffirms Suda51's inherently chaotic nature. Boosting the stats of Romeo Stargazer himself, for example, plays out like a warped and twisted version of Pac-Man, while hacking terminals means playing 4-dimensional Pong. All in all, Romeo might be a Dead Man during standard stages, but at least he won't ever be a bored one while exploring his ship. My preview finally culminated in a mission set in an 80s mall that had me activating various generators around the stage, fending off new types of baddies after having unlocked the game's immensely satisfying to use machine gun, and making brilliant use of Romeo's rechargeable Blood Summer attack, the latter of which doubles up as a way to regain health, which saved my butt more than a few times and only encouraged me to take more risks with getting up close and personal for melee attacks. The final fight against the enhanced Phantom boss was appropriately challenging and bombastic too, forcing me to slowly whittle down the health of this giant head while dodging several of its electrifying attacks. Again, much like No More Heroes before it, Romeo is a Dead Man looks to already be taking full advantage of its space-time context to pit you against some seriously inventive bosses. The more I played Romeo is a Dead Man, the more I felt a bit miffed that it's been 5 whole years since Grasshopper Manufactures, and by extension Suda51's, madness was last unleashed onto the gaming sphere. Although I got to play just the first 2 chapters as part of this preview, Romeo is a Dead Man is already ticking plenty of boxes I'd expect from the studio that previously gave us a chainsaw-wielding cheerleader and devil-hunting biker as protagonists. Our familiar staples like rescuing a loved one and murdering mountains of the undead back in full force here? Of course, yet with its smartly contained scope, cool approach to progression, grotesque bosses, and appropriately zany hero, all signs point towards Romeo is a Dead Man scratching the long-time itch us Suda51 stans have had for nearly half a decade.
I don't care how big you are, you're going down. Good answer. That gets me going.
So there you have it guys, in terms of our full preview thoughts on Romeo is a Dead Man. The game is scheduled to release on February 11th, so we don't have too much longer to wait before the full game. Till then, do you plan on picking this one up? Be sure to let us know in the comment section below. And then, when you've done that, why not leave this video a like if you enjoyed it, and consider subscribing to the All Out Gaming YouTube channel to stay up to date with even more videos like this. Until next time, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.
You're gonna die in about 15 seconds.
Seriously?
Seriously. Don't worry. I made this just in case.